from Brooklyn NFTs that I've been trying what you said. I went to personal account on TikTok yesterday, and then I've been trying to get on some trends. I don't know if I'm doing very good, but anyway,
I saw a couple.
You're inspiring me every day.
I think you recorded a couple I saw where you used like a trendy song. Those are fun, right? They're easier than you think. Once you start making a couple, you're like, damn. Not bad.
And they're really short too, which is exactly what I need because as I said yesterday, I tend to go on and ramble and and so yeah, they help me just to stay on track.
Yeah, definitely. And also hey, what's up, guys? It's also fun because like you can the TikToks where like for example Brooklyn's that went nuts and got like 1 million views. It wasn't anything like it's not even like crazy helpful sometimes. Like I've made one that did well that was just like, hey, if you're looking for YouTube content, like here's my page. Like that's all I said. And those for some reason do so well. So it's like it's an easy way to get new followers and stuff. So
and sometimes I can't actually work out the algorithm. I'm like, oh, this or like not that I ever think any of my videos are awesome, but I'm like, oh, this one's cool. People like this, and it gets literally no views, hardly any likes. And then random ones where it's like on the fly and you think, oh God, I'll just post it. That wasn't great. They get like all the views. It's just, anyway, it's hit and miss a little bit. So, God, I look so pasty next to you. Ugh.
It's only because the lighting. It's just because the lighting. I'm next to a nice little window.
Yeah, I've got the light that way. So, I need to work out a better space to do this. Anyway, thank you so much.
Somewhere. Oh, here it is. Okay. So I wrote down somewhere. I don't know where I put it in my notes. I had a couple of things I just wanted to like not forget to talk about. But I guess it's just not here. But I know I wanted to talk about one thing that we mentioned a few days ago was with the haters and stuff. So I know at some point we'll probably talk about that. But I know you had some ideas. We want to talk about like life, stories, NFTs, our art, which is amazing. And it's just fun. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. Well, if we want to touch on haters, well, actually, why don't we do a quick intro? Because I think there's some names coming up that I've never met. So I'm Lisa, obviously. I'm from Australia. I'm an NFT artist. I'm actually an ex-teacher, and I'm an author of children's book. And I did come to TikTok for the art. I do art as well. So I came for the art talk and the book talk. And I found Sydney and I found you and I found a whole ton of other people and I just kind of fell into it. And the way it was, I saw this hashtag NFTs. I was like, what is this? I need to get with the lingo. And then Sydney's video came up and I was like, oh, you mean I can do my art in a different way? Like, and share it with the world in a different way? And that just took me down the whole rabbit hole. And that was literally about 8 weeks ago. So it's been a wild ride, but it's been awesome.
Yeah, no, that's great. And it's funny because I've only just started getting like super into content about NFTs and basically the same, probably 2 months or something like that. I've been in NFTs for a long period of time. And my name's Cade, by the way. I do NFT. I'm an NFT YouTuber. And I make content everywhere, but YouTube is my main platform. And yeah, I've been doing NFTs since like the beginning of the summer. And I was kind of frustrated with all the content out there. It's mostly shilly, promotional, buy this, buy that, we'll go to the moon together kind of stuff. And that just wasn't very helpful to anybody. And I remember being like, damn, there should be content about this kind of stuff. And then I was like, wait, there's nobody making this content. I should just do it. And so I filled in that niche. That picked up really quickly. And with artists, that kind of just happened randomly, like 5 weeks ago or 6 weeks ago or something, because I bought Sydney's art and then I think I bought someone else's. Then I was like, wait, this is fun. And I could talk to the artists. We could get like a real storyline. And now we're like leading the charge for NFT artists. And it's so much fun.
Awesome. So jelly, by the way, that you got Naked Lady Noodles. I was like, oh, it was amazing when you got she's so cool.
I love it.
Yeah, and I so when I first looked into NFTs, I honestly thought it was all PFP. Like I thought it was all those profile pictures. I thought it was auto-generated, hundreds of thousands of them. And so I thought with my art, I was like, well, how can I get into this? So I actually ended up pivoting completely away. So what I did was I started this collection of like these cockatoos that I'd drawn. I was like, yeah, I can do them in different colors and I can do, they'll all be one of ones and I'll do like, 50 of them and that'll be great. And then I started thinking about it and I was like, actually, I've got this other art that it feels like it comes more from my heart. That I feel like the cockatoos would be playing it completely safe for me and it would just be another thing. So this was like, I'm doing this other art that really comes from my heart. Am I going to be brave enough? Maybe I should share that instead. And that's actually what ended up happening. I was on Twitter and I was like seeing people sharing all their amazing stuff. And I was like, okay, I really don't know many people here. So I'm just going to put it out there and go, hey, this is what I'm working on. and ended up getting a really good reaction. And I was like, I'm so surprised, you know, because I didn't expect that. And then, so I did a complete pivot. I was nearly ready to go with the cockatoos and they're still sitting there. But I ended up just going, no, actually, I'm going to do the Mother Urban collection, which was like 10. And yeah, and they were like a representation of, you know, what it means to be a woman and a mother and a sister and all the things. And then, yeah, ended up doing My Heart on the Sea and 5 of those. So they're all sort of coming from that emotional place for me, which feels far more vulnerable, but it feels so much more rewarding, if that makes sense.
It does.
Yeah. So I thought it wasn't for me at first. I was like, oh, NFTs, it kind of looks like it's just generated art. And that's fine. Like those teams are amazing, but I can't do that. So it's not for me. But I feel like, do you feel like there's kind of a rise in more of this bespoke art and photography in the space or not?
Yeah, I think so. I've been talking about this for the past couple of weeks with trends moving forward, and I think NFT artists are way different than NFT projects, just because like it's not the same thing. You know, I feel like people sometimes. Brooklyn actually made a TikTok on this earlier that I just saw. She was like, "What is this thing with like utility? Your NFTs have to have utility first, and these things." And she was like, "Well, actually, I think community is the more important thing for this sector of NFTs. When you're supporting an artist, you're buying. I mean, typically their art isn't like that expensive unless they've been in the space for a while." And maybe they have amassed a big support line. I know like Creature World NFT is like an art-led project that kind of turned into a profile picture project. And that's a little bit different. They also, I'm sure, got a ton of capital from selling out 10,000 of them at like, I don't know how much. They're trading out all these secondary sales and royalties and stuff. But with artists, I feel like it's a little bit different. You don't buy art with the intent of like, hopefully the floor does a 20X and you sell it. Like you buy the art because you like them, you support them, you're excited to see what they're going to do. And that's way more fun for me. And honestly, like, it's not like I'm sitting here looking at all my art in my portfolio going like, ah, man, they should have better utility. I'm pissed. You know, like that's, and I don't think
where's the extra value here?
Yeah. Because I want to see them like that's what I want to see. I just want to see them talking and posting and sharing themselves. So
that's amazing. Cause I feel like you're small, like your artists are basically, they're that more personal brand, you know, you get to know them, you're supporting the person, you know, you like their art as well. And like, I look at my collection and I have a connection to each single piece in there. Like I go, yep, I bought that because I love that person and I love this art. And that reminds me of XYZ. I bought this. Oh, remember that time when I was chatting to them about blah, you know, or remember how they killed it with this. And like, I ended up getting one. How lucky am I? Like, it's just that feeling. And I kind of, you know, I'm a collector. Like I don't see that I'd be a flipper, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with flipping. I know there are heaps of people out there doing amazingly well with flipping. But yeah, I sort of have this vision of one day being in the metaverse and like having my virtual house and my virtual gallery with like all my cool art on it from my friends, you know. I think that'd be awesome.
I think it's going to be amazing. And for me, I have aspirations. I'm not an NFT artist first. I'm definitely a content creator first. And then like my personal brand is tied with that. And so, but I also am in the NFT like world, not the art world as much. I'm in like the NFT collectible world. I want to build like, I basically want to make Pokemon 2.0, but actually 100 times better. And so I have like that, I'm going in that direction because I want to make a full brand that's like competing with Nike and these massive brands. So that's my personal goal with it. And so my NFTs are a bit different in the sense that they are art pieces, but they're access keys. So I'm going to make each NFT that's any of mine into a physical, like, hold on, do I have that? Hold on, I have it here. Oh, wait.
Thank you for all the likes, by the way, guys. It's amazing. All these likes. It's so cool.
Oh my God, we have 4,000 already. Jesus.
Feeling the
love. Thomas Goodwin, she's not my girlfriend. I have no girlfriend, unfortunately. I'm crying. But so my NFTs, so if you guys are familiar with any trading card games, like I have all these Yu-Gi-Oh cards, right? And so my NFT photography sets, I want to turn them into like a card like this, but like hard plastic. I want it to be really nice quality. And I do have plans of making some in real world things and places that you can have access to that you can just fly to and have access to at any point. Like I want to buy like a like a mansion and have that like an Airbnb for any holders that's just for free.
Oh my.
And also in the metaverse too. So the reason I wanted to bring this up is because all the artists I'm buying from, I'm sure everyone knows because we're obviously on live right now, that I want to collaborate as much as I can because I like you guys. I loved your art pieces. Otherwise, I wouldn't have bought it. But just how you were saying, you want to see your art displayed in the metaverse. My Joyage Kingdom that I want to have as a brand, I want that to be like an entire world in there. And so, yeah, there will be art plastered everywhere. And so I guess you guys can probably guess on which art I'll be using for that, not just mine. So I'm excited.
That would be so awesome. Imagine, sorry, I just had this wild imagination. Like all I can imagine is, imagine if we could make it that interactive where you could literally step into the art. Like how could that even happen?
My God. Yeah. Well,
imagine if you could literally step in. Sorry.
Yeah, they have something like that with, I think it's called Starry Night, like a really old art piece that's like famous in traditional art. And they made like some kind of VR thing where you can like, your VR self can step into it and be like in the scene. And you're like looking around like that would be freaking awesome. So yeah.
That's awesome. Like I seriously want to climb to the top of the headdress on one of my girls and just look out or jump in the boat cool. Or, you know, like that is awesome. I love that. Well, I'll be part of your kingdom. I'd love to be there. Sounds awesome.
Oh my God. Your art piece is one of my favorites. I mean, everyone's is one of my favorites, but your art is really like hard to do. The one, like I tried doing that avocado as you saw, and that was very basic.
I love your avocado.
And I have no idea how you made that NFT because that is so intricate. Can you talk about that? Like, how long did that take you?
So I don't generally sit down and like do, you know, all of it in one hit. I'll do it over days. So all up, I reckon that probably took me maybe a day and a half of my time in terms of if I put it all together, maybe, or maybe like a day. But it's more about, as you'll see, like, you know, some of the videos I've posted on TikTok where you see like, I'm like, this is how it started, this is how it ended. And you can see like it's in fast motion and you can see going across a million different colors because I am the worst at procrastinating. I'll go, yep, I love that color. And then I'll come back later and I'll change it again and again and again. And I usually end up with the first color anyway, but that's okay. Yep. So it does take me a long time to fiddle with that. But the detail stuff is where, like, so as a kid, I used to love to draw, but I used to love to doodle. So I did a lot of like Zentangles and, you know, lots of like little intricate things. And that's that part of it. Like I love getting the bigger stuff down, but that part of it is when I just totally like, I'm in the zone. I'm in like a flow state, I guess. I just zone out and I'm just like in the little details. I'm like, and I'll put something over here and I'll put something over there. So yeah, and again, it's come from a place of I have to have the feeling, like I have to have, I think I mentioned to you, Cade, with My Heart on the Sea, which for anybody who's not sure what I'm talking about, so I'll just get into my Procreate. I can show you. So when I created My Heart on the Sea, as I mentioned in one of my TikToks, I think, so it's that one. Can everyone see that? Oh, I had a birthday, so I was like, oh man, you know, I'm getting older. I'm getting closer to the age my dad was when he passed away. Like he was only 48, which is super young. And it just, I've always had that in the back of my head. I've got to live life to the fullest. I've got to do the things I want to do. Like he was that guy. He did everything he ever wanted to do. And I need to be a bit more like that, you know, like I don't want to ever have any regrets. And I cannot hand on heart say I don't think he would have. And yeah, I just started thinking, man, like he's missed a lot. Oh, are you there?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry,
No, that's fine. It just dipped out for a second. I just started thinking about what, you know, what he's potentially missed out on and all sorts of things in our lives and what we've missed out on with him. And just started to draw. And that's really where it came from. And then the little details will have little meanings to me. But I was a bit afraid of going too far into that detail, Kate, because I thought it might throw people off. They might be like, well, actually, I don't resonate with that. I don't resonate with that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't even like look that far. And I think Sydney's the one who like told me. She was like, hey, did you see these little characters? And I was like, wait, what? And so I didn't even like, I guess I just saw it as a whole. And I just like, I don't have that artistic, I'm not an artist by nature. I'm sure you have to have been doing art for longer than 8 weeks, right?
Oh yeah. Like I've had the iPad Pro and I sort of tried to sell some prints on Etsy, but again, playing it super safe, just doing some patterns and stuff. I didn't feel they were like pretty colors and things, and I like them, but they're not, you know, really a representation of who I am, I guess.
Yeah. And that's where the NFT part is amazing, because a lot of people come from the traditional world into NFTs thinking it's the same thing. And it's actually way easier. It's way, 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 way easier to sell NFT art than it is real life, because if you go to a gallery or something to sell your art, you're just not going to be able to share to the level that you can on social. You can create a community by sharing your story and explaining what your art means to you and all these things, and make 500 videos in a row and get 200 or 300 people in your community to get really excited about it. Versus if you show up to a gallery, you meet this person for the first time maybe, or you've seen a couple of clips. Why is my phone sliding? And oh Jesus! All right, hold on. There we go. And so it's just a bit different. It's a little easier, and I think people are forgetting how easy it can be to sell your NFTs, and how easy it is to manifest money in this world, because of how much access there are, and just the amount of people who are able to see your thing. You can make a tweet and Gary Vee could see it, and if Gary Vee buys your art, it's over. You know, like it's literally over.
That's it. Like, that's so true. Things can change really quickly. You could just catch the eye of somebody and your whole world could just change. Yeah, absolutely. So, Luna, sorry, I'm just looking at some comments. Luna's here. Hi. Hey. Luna's dad is Jimmy. He has bought quite a bit from me. Yeah. So, hey, she's just saying they look at my art at the time. That's so beautiful. Thank you.
Love it. Rainbow Mosho's in the house. Hell yes. Turtlenecks in the house. I think I saw Sydney is in here. I think the whole squad is in here. I'm pretty sure.
Yay! That's awesome. Thanks for coming.
This is really cool.
That's unreal. Oh, yeah. So Beck says, cannot wait to see your vision come to life, Cade. This is your Joyage. Yeah. Now, do we say Joyage or like Voyage? Joyage?
Yeah.
Well, I've heard it pronounced Joyage as well.
Yeah, yeah. It was supposed to be Joyage at one point, but then I was like, I don't know. It didn't click as well as I was hoping. And that word came from like when I was doing photography over a year ago. I just needed a website name, and I liked the word voyage, and I liked like the photo of like a big ship from like Pirates of the Caribbean, like voyaging across the ocean, and I liked that.
So cool.
But I couldn't use the word voyage, and so I just put the other word joy. I put joy together, which is the word now, like joy and then age. And
awesome.
So yeah, that's where it all.
So cool. I love it.
I hated it. At first, I was like, "It's so dumb." All I did was combine two words. Like that's so not creative.
No, it is so creative. I think it's awesome. It's absolutely unreal. And so, with your photography, do you want to talk a little bit about that? Like, because I know. So, yeah, where you took your photography, like, are you sort of taking photos in different places, or is it part of that Joyage that you took? I think you were out on the road for a bit, yeah? Yeah. So that's actually funny. Brooklyn just asked, Kate, where's the best place you've traveled to? Oh, cool.
So that's perfect. It goes in. So my first two collections they're both currently sold out right now, but there's, I think, 3 or 4 available to be bought. The first collection, I think the floor is 0.3, and then there's one at 1 ETH, and then there's one at 4. And then my other collection, there's one at 7 ETH, and then one at 70 or something like that. So it's not actually really possible for most people to get into those first collections. But the good news is there is a third and a fourth set. There's only going to be 4 before like the brand becomes its thing. There will only be 4, and there will be less than 100 total ever from these photography NFTs that have to do with the same utility that I have planned for it. And so there will never be more than 100 of those photography NFT sets. I think there was 20 in the first collection and 25 in the second or something. So I think the third one will have 20, and then the fourth will have like 30 or something like that. And so I'm really excited for those, because my first 2, I guess we'll call those like the Genesis collections. They were before I knew anything. They weren't really planned to be anything. And now it's a little different. These next 2 sets are very intentional. I got into Procreate, and so I'm like learning that. And so funny,
I'm so excited for you.
Is the that little, I don't know if is it a contest? Is that what we're calling it? Or
I think we call it a challenge. Yeah.
Okay.
Finding balance challenge. Yeah, I think sort of like a challenge. So for people who don't know, we've got a Twitter. Well, it's sort of Twitter, but anyone can be part of it. But we'll end up doing a Twitter Spaces on the. I think your day will be the 21st of Jan. It'll be 22nd of Jan Australia time. And it's basically hashtag finding balance. So it's your representation through art, and it can be any medium. It can be digital. It can be something that you've created like collage. It can be a sculpture. It can be anything. Yeah, and then we're going to share it and sort of talk about what finding balance means to us. Yeah. So sorry, you share yours. What you're up to.
And I'm excited because I've seen already multiple people's entries, and they're literally amazing. Like they're amazing. And so I was like, holy shit. And so I got to really up my game here. So so mine's going to be a GIF or a GIF or however you say it, but it's interesting because let me just show the original photo. If I have it, hold on, I do have it somewhere. So what it is, so this collection, for my first two collections, I was traveling. I called it the Joyage, just when I quit my job and I quit everything and I just traveled the country in my car. And I did I went from like the Southeast to the Northwest and finished up in Washington State. And then I had taken a bunch of self-portraits. I'd been in photography for a while. And so those are like travel photos. Then I have the prequel collection, which is the second one, which is all the photos basically leading up to that Joyage, which was super important to me. And then this third collection, the photos are coming from like, I guess they're not really on this trip anymore because the trip is finished. So they're just like photos that I take. I'm still a photographer, so I still do take photos just every now and then. And when I go places, I usually bring my camera. And so this collection, the third and fourth collection, are going to be interesting because they're going to be very random. They're not going to be dropped like any other collection I've seen. They'll be dropped in singles. And I haven't decided if they're going to be in one collection or if I'm going to scatter them throughout the metaverse, like in different areas. Each one is earned. So there's no like, okay, tomorrow we're dropping and you can buy it if you're first. It's not going to be like that. There will be things where it's like, okay, you earned your spot. You're given the private sale and you get to buy it. That's how all the rest of them are going to be. And that's because cultivate that community of people who never want to sell it. If you work really hard to get that NFT, you want to hold on to that. And that's the goal here.
Yeah.
And so the one I want to do now that I've rambled, how do I get to my favorites? Favorites. Where is it? Oh, here. Okay. So the original photo, this came at the end of my trip. This was like one of the last like weeks, this photo. And it didn't make the cut for the Joyage collection because I just don't think I had taken the photo yet when I published that collection. But here's the original shot with color.
Wow.
And so it's just
that's
a really
awesome
shot. I love this shot. And so here's the one with black and white, that's going to be a factor in the actual piece. But
that's cool.
Kind of like, so I was going to draw in the sky and I was going to make the sky like, kind of like, I don't know, really good nature, like sort of like heaven. I don't know. And then like the bottom was going to be like hell and it was going to be like a tearing between heaven and hell kind of thing. But then I started drawing and I clicked on some random art thing by accident and I ended up liking this way better. And so here's kind of where we're at. So
okay,
just show this tiny little.
I'm so excited.
It's kind of like the chaos in your mind at first. It's
wow.
Guy drawn in, and we have the beginnings of another piece I'm drawing in there, but it bounces between chaos, good chaos, and just like thoughts. The darkness. It gets a little bit scarier, and so that's kind of like the first step. And so I have a lot to do for this piece. And I have like a couple secret little engraving things in there that you kind of inspired me to do. And
my favorites.
My creative side is just like exploding right now.
That's awesome. And are you going to make that animated? So when you say like the different, that's unreal. I can't wait to see that.
It's going to be really cool. And I'm going to turn that into the first NFT for the third collection. So you guys will get to see that as part of like the challenge. It'll be, okay, here's the thing. By the way, this is the first NFT of that collection, which is dope because most people aren't even going to hear about it except for the people who are going to be in this challenge. And I'm going to end up selling this one to whoever participates. So we're going to have a list of people who are participating. And I'm sure it's not going to be more than like, I have no idea how many people it'll be, but basically it's only available to anyone who enters the challenge. So we're going to talk about that later in an announcement. So that'll be really exciting for artists.
That's fantastic. I love it. I love the way your brain's like going, but again, so you've also taken it back to supporting other people, bringing them value. Like, you know, it entices people. People want your art, so they're going to want to be part of it, which is amazing. So yeah, I love it. I love the whole concept. It's exciting.
So,
I'm so glad you're doing
it's
one.
not expensive. I mean, all my NFTs are one of ones. That's just the way I like to do it. So each photo will be different, totally different. I have forever to do this because I don't have a timeline on my project. So these photography literally be dropped like on a random Wednesday in like February. I'll have one just dropped. I'm not going to tell anyone. It'll just be one of those things. Well, I guess I'll tell people, but it won't be like, hey, this is where it is. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it yet, but I'm really excited. It's not going to be super expensive. I'm not going to like break the bank for anybody. I just want people, kind of like how Sydney said when she first started, she was like, I just want to build that community, you know, and that's just
it's so important. That's right. That's awesome. I love that. You're going to be keeping us seriously on our toes because we're going to be, when's he dropping that thing? When's he doing the NFT? Going to be looking everywhere. I've been working on my art for this Finding Balance challenge, and I tell you, it has gone in a weird direction. I can share with you what I've done. It's not like you'll just go, what? I don't even feel like it's my like representative of my normal style. It is to a degree, but there's some funky stuff going on that I've got to. It's a bit dark, like it's kind of not where I expected. Really? So, well, I didn't plan for it to be dark. I planned for it to be really colorful, but yeah, I don't know. I think my representation of myself looks a bit cranky, so I might have to change that. So I'm going to show you. It's not done. I'm really like halfway through. I haven't kind of Lisa-fied it yet in terms of the detail and stuff. I don't know if you can see that. No, I don't know. I look like I'm really cross. But I've sort of got like up on my head, like it's sort of representing me with a little bit of my head in the clouds and, you know, and the nature. So there's mountains and things there and lots of color, and which means, you know, because I love to be out in nature as well. So sort of having my head in the clouds, but then my top on the thing is sort of like made of grass and land. So I'm trying to keep it, you know, I'm trying to keep my feet on the ground as well. And there's water coming up. So sometimes it's just, I don't know if I'm going to stick with the water. I think it makes it look a bit creepy, but I wanted to put my boat in there. So one thing I am planning on doing is that little boat from My Heart on the Sea. I sort of want to have it as a bit of an Easter egg, I think, in some of my art. Like it might just be, you know, around the place. So yeah, so I don't know. I think, look, I might scrap it and start again. I really have no idea. I've got little, oh, you can't really see it, but I've got like little, oh, you can't see them, little people like hanging off the.
Oh, I see it. Awesome.
Yeah. I just think I look a bit creepy. Do you? And there's like people in the eye.
Wow. That is so
crazy. I don't know. Pardon?
I said that's really awesome. I love that. And it's cool because same, I literally started it with an idea and then like it just completely did not go that direction whatsoever in the slightest way.
Yeah, exactly. It was like it's taking me in weird places. Like I've said to a couple of people, I'm getting alien vibes from that head. Like it just looks a weird shape. But I've still got work to do on it, so you know, it won't be ready. But I've got till the 21st. And what I actually thought I might do is I might give it away. I might raffle it away. I'll see how we go. Maybe, yeah, I think so. I might just raffle it away. It would be kind of cool too, like to maybe get a few people together who might be, and this is just me talking out loud. Nobody has to commit to anything like this. Well, thinking out loud, sorry. I was just thinking like it'd be cool if we could do some kind of, I mean, I know Solsea at the moment doesn't have an auction ability. I'm kind of hanging for that because I'd love to be able to do an auction on something like that. And then all the money ends up going to like a mental health charity or something like that. But I kind of feel like that's not going to be ready by the 21st of Jan. So we'll just have to see.
Yeah. I have some ideas. So when I do, whoever ends up winning my NFT, I probably won't mint it soon. It'll just be like, hey, you when it's time to mint, like you'll just get access to it or whatever. But it is nice. Yeah, there's no rush. I mean, I think a lot of people, especially people who are entering the space and are just starting kind of getting NFTs, they're like, okay, well, I need to quickly get my NFT set going. That way, like, we're good to go. But people, I don't think enough people know how long we're going to be here. I mean, there's just no timeline in NFTs. So
no, That's right. And I feel like it keeps evolving, you know, so we don't know, you know, things are changing so rapidly. Could be 6 months, could be completely different. But I'm just so happy, like, to be part of this community and part of, I feel like we're early, you know, I just feel
early.
like, yeah. And it's, I don't know. I asked a question on Twitter the other day. I was wondering, like, if you're in NFTs, have you told your family and friends, and how did it go? So have you told your family, Cade? Like, and how did you know, your people react
They
about crypto?
my family's, they're supportive or whatever. They don't understand it. They also don't have vision, so that can be frustrating sometimes. But I mean, they're whatever. They've always kind of been like, that's fine. So they kind of stay out of it. They sort of know. My mom likes the Side of Light. I ended up giving her one of them to my mom for Christmas. So,
That's so cool.
Yeah, that was fun. She loved that. But besides that, like, NFTs, they're one of those people that they'll hop on once everyone else hops on. They're just very risk. They don't like high risk at all. And I'm the opposite. I like high. I mean, because I'm 23 and I don't have responsibilities. That's why I like high risk. So yeah, they're kind of just like. My sister's super supportive of it. She like has all my clothes and she like loves watching the videos and stuff. And so that's dope. But my parents, they're just like, oh, those picture things that sort of make sense or something. How about you?
Yeah. Sort of the same. So I tried to explain it to my mum, and she's just like, I just like the art. I love the art you're doing. That's great. Doesn't get the other stuff, and that's fine. Absolutely fine. But she's a bit like your parents, you know, just supportive of whatever I'm doing. As long as she sees that I'm happy, you know, she's happy with that. So she's like, no, I love the art and stuff. I don't know, you're talking another language to me when you're telling me about the NFT stuff. Like at Christmas, I had people at, like, my husband's, we had our whole family around here, including my in-laws, and my husband was like, tell everybody, you know, about what you're doing. And I was like, oh, so I'm making art. I didn't know how to explain it, because I thought I could be here for half an hour trying to tell them what this is all about. So I just sort of did a bit of an abridged version, and they were like, oh, sounds really cool. But then, you know, invariably you get the, crypto, it's a pyramid scheme. Someone popped that in. It's a pyramid scheme. I'm like, no, it's not. Yeah. And then, you know, and I thought, no, I don't want to get into sort of that, you know, go down that track at the Christmas table. But yeah, so overwhelmingly supportive of whatever I'm doing. So it's really cool. And my brother actually is a DJ and a photographer. So he did that behind me. That's in Sydney. Yeah. So I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah. And he's wild. He's like, I'm like, you need to do this, you know, you're making all this music, because making music is like his happy place. And he's like, yeah, okay, so what do I do? And all I said to him, it's so funny, I was like, Dan, it's about community. Because he's like, no, he rings me one night, he's in Sydney, so he's about 3.5 hours away, he's in Sydney, and he goes, right, I'm minting one now, I'm on Saucy, I'm doing it now. I'm like, what? This is awesome. This is before I'd even minted my first one. I was like, this is really cool. And funny story, he minted it. I'm sitting there, because we were it was a bit of an experiment. He wanted to see, could he do it? Didn't know how. So he did it. And it's one of his beautiful photos of like this underground, abandoned kind of train area. And ended up being that I bought it. He put it up for $3 with commercial rights. The equivalent of $3, and I'm like, I own you, little brother. But again, he says to me, oh, well, I don't really have time to build the community. And I'm like, but it is a business. You don't have to view NFTs as a business, I guess. If you just want to do art and pop it up there, that's fine. But if you want it to sell, you've got to view it as a business. Like, at the end of the day, and you've got to get out there and share your art and share yourself. So yeah, I think the community, I'm only as strong as my community. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I mean, it's just a personal brand. You're selling, basically, this is internet stars 3.0. Like, we already had our first round of social media people. If you hopped on the train in like 2015 and you jumped and tried to be an influencer, you probably made it if you just did it long enough. Yeah. You know, if you were early, that's basically what we are. Like, we're internet, like, influencers 3.0 basically. And so if you're in the charge right now and you're building now, we haven't even had coin, we haven't even had Reddit drop theirs, and all the other like before the masses come in, we don't have that many people in here yet. And so if you're starting now in the space and then 6 million people jump in and you're already established as a leader, I mean, now you've got enough people, and when you have eyes, it's very easy in business, and pretty much you can generate anything you want. If you have people believing what you're saying and liking who you are, you can be like, hey, like I know I'm a YouTuber about this, but like I want to stream and do this other thing, and 20% it's just going to go with you just because they like you.
Yeah.
And so that's the part where it's like, yes, it can become business, and you can just be like, hey, I have clothes, and like, do you want to buy it? And like 30% of your audience buys it. You're like, wow, like I have a business right now. And so that's kind of the way I look at it. In this world right now, it's really hard to do that unless you're in this world where it's very easy to do that. You just have to consistently do it and offer something that's not available yet. And you can do that. And it's fun. You know, you can make life more interesting. That's like my main goal, is to make life interesting. Like you want to wake up and not hate your life. Like I hated my life 3 months ago. I was door dashing 12 hours a day. I mean, I love my NFT stuff, but like it's hard and life is difficult when you got to pay this, do this and that. And so to have something you can wake up and pop into Discord and talk and push your own brand, it's fun.
Yeah, it's massive. Like I think I'm sorry if I've regurgitated the same thing I said yesterday to people who are watching who were here yesterday, but just the fact that like I really feel like I've found this community of people that I've never quite felt that connected to a community of people before. Like I think we've all kind of got each other's back. We're all each other's cheerleaders. Everyone's welcoming. Like you can be at any stage. I think like the people who are sort of doing it are reaching across to help other people who are trying to learn to do it. And you've got people that have been in NFTs and, or, you know, Web 3.0 for a while, and they're also pulling you along. So I just don't feel any judgment in this space. I don't feel any malice or anything. I mean, look, I know maybe I just found the right people. I really think I did. I hit the jackpot when I met all of you guys and connected with the right people. But it's just like we're all out to help each other. So at the end of the day, which is awesome.
It's great.
Yeah.
There's no tearing each other down. It literally helps other people. So
that's right. Yeah. Except you get the odd hater. But, you know, they're not my people. They're not my people. You know, I have to really come to terms with that. I haven't had hate. It's more that kind of really like, oh, red flag, like this is sus, you know, NFTs are dodgy. What are you doing it for? You know, or I think I put something on TikTok once and someone said, oh, I'd ask, like, you know, who are your favorite NFT artists and collectors or crypto enthusiasts? Like, pop them in the link because I'd love to connect with them. And someone wrote, Chain of Fools or whatever. And I was like, yeah, keep scrolling. You know, I've just got to get better at not taking things to heart. I haven't had any personal attacks yet, though. So, yeah. How about you? How do you deal with haters?
Well, that's, I guess for me, I've been dealing with it since I made YouTube videos back in like 2009. I've been doing it for a while. And so I'm used to people hating on me for no reason. Like I would make a video about soccer and they'd make fun of my technique, or they'd make fun of the goal, or I didn't shoot it far enough, or I need to have a better goalie, or my goalie's not tall enough, or this. And like, no matter what I did, I figured after like 5 years of doing it, I was like, wait, so no matter what I do, as soon as I address one hater, another one pops up. And so what was interesting is, so if I didn't address the hater, I got less haters because people would comment and like nothing would change. But okay, well, I guess this guy doesn't care, and it doesn't matter, you know. But for most people who hate on your video for whatever reason, this is one huge thing that Gary Vee taught me. I watched 1 million of his videos on haters because I was very focused and determined not to be like thwarted by them. And he was like, one, their knee-jerk reaction, right? They're just immediately, they see something and they go with their first thought, and that's the keyboard warrior. Say something, they don't think, and they move on, right? And that's fine. But it's important that when you get that hate comment, that you realize that one, that's that, and two, it's a blip in their day. They make that comment, and to us it hurts because we're like, oh my God, they must really fucking hate me, or they must really think I'm a piece of shit. But they don't. They just literally forgot about it instantly. And if you ask them why they left that comment, they wouldn't even remember leaving it. And so when I thought about it like that, and realized that I've never in my life thought to leave a hate comment ever in a way that's like hateful, And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
then, like, that sucks that they did that, you know? So,
Yeah.
like,
And I think I made a comment on one of your posts or something about, you know, or maybe it was Sydney's on Twitter, something about, you know, I think hurt people at the end of the day.
yeah,
So I've just got to come like from a place of going, well, they're, you know, they obviously need the love more than I do. You know what I mean? Like they've got some big things going on if they think that that's okay to do. And you're quite right. I think just ignoring it and focusing on the positive, because there are so many positives and you get so much love in this
yeah,
community, and that's where it's at. You know, it's not from that one comment of someone, you know, trying to tear you down because they feel bad about themselves at the end of the day. So yeah,
yeah.
I agree.
And the other part is they literally just don't understand it most of the time. Like almost every single hate comment I've ever gotten, they literally just
Yeah,
didn't know any better. Like, for example, if they were like, I think you're this, I'd be like, okay, well, clearly you haven't watched any of my videos. This is definitely the first one you've ever watched. So you just genuinely don't know. And that's not like, and I'm
yeah,
like, okay, hate comment is like thwarted. Like, I don't see it as a hate comment anymore. I see it as uneducated. And I'm like, that's not my
yeah,
problem. I can't control them not watching my content. And that's whatever. And
yeah,
so the other thing is that if, this is something I talked about in the podcast with Mark, and I got not a lot of hate, but a lot of people misunderstood what we were saying, I guess. And he kept asking me if I take criticism and like how I take it, kind of thing. And I kept saying, I was like, well, I
yeah,
take criticism, but I don't let it emotionally hurt me. But I take if there's something wrong and 60% of people are saying I'm doing this wrong, I'm probably wrong. But I don't need to sit there and beat myself up about it, I guess. And so I spent like
yeah,
this full year when I'm traveling to depend on myself. And only in the past few months did I start to get to a point where I genuinely only valued or at least from my opinion of myself, from myself. So if
yeah,
someone's hating me as a person, they can't
yeah.
know that. They can't know me better than I know myself. And so my
That's right.
opinion is, but criticism wise, yeah, I'll take anyone's criticism, whatever. But I don't sit there and let it sulk in my stomach and hate myself
Yeah,
for it. That's probably not what they're trying to do. And even if they were, again, like I said, it's a blip in their day. You know, they're just
that's
being
it. So you think also of it like as constructive feedback. If, you know, if they're coming at you with, you know, if you get 100 people coming at you going, actually, Lisa, you should be doing it, maybe you should think about this, then, you know, yeah, you take that on board for sure, you know. And if it's someone that you respect or whatever and you think, yep, but you're right, like you've got to think of it as a blip in their day. It's not something that sorry, NFTs by Rebecca says, I'm going to take away the bleep in their day phrase. So yeah, yes, do it. I think I'm gonna have to tell myself that stuff too. It's a blip in their day. They're not even, you know, they're not gonna think about it again. And actually, quite often, if you address it, I find they don't get back to you unless they're feisty and they want to get in a fight. But they won't even. They'll go, oh, you know, they don't want to go there. They're just like, oh, whoops, you know, move on. They, as you said, they're not thinking about it. So, yeah. I'm
they
just gonna go through some comments. Sorry, Kate. I'm just going to read some comments out because you and I would have different comments, I'm
oh right.
guessing. Oh, thank you. Beck says, you're amazing, Lisa. Love the detail. Thank you. Now someone says, I was creative. Oh, Nat, I was creative enough to participate. I did a little thing today about I think you're talking about finding balance. Creativity can be anything. Like it's just about expressing yourself. It doesn't have to be. I was talking to someone on DM yesterday and I was like, it doesn't have to be fine art. It's an expression of you. It can be abstract as all heck. If that's, you know, it can just be splatters of paint. If it means something to you, then that is poignant and beautiful, you know. So you don't have to be a fine. I'm definitely not a fine artist. You know, sometimes I look at my stuff and I think, oh, people might think, God, a 5-year-old could do that. Because I'm not one of these, you know, I'm not very good at like drawing human form and stuff. I want to get better at that. Diddley does says, I was mining Bitcoin in 2013. Wow, you're way ahead of the game. That's huge. Soul Animals, I saw the video of Cade giving it to his mum. So you must have given her an NFT?
I gave her the satellite, yeah.
Yes, yeah. And they love that video. And then people are like, I didn't see it. I have to go look it up.
Sydney drops in, says, do you think there's ever a reason to respond to haters? The only time I ever really respond to a hater is if there's a very quick answer that can actually, if it's like definitely they misread something and I can easily in one sentence be like, hey, that's actually not what I said. I said this, and it's like, no problem.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll do that, but most of the time I don't even bother. I just say something irrelevant. Like they'll be like, you should do this. And I'll be like, do you like whales? And I'll just say something completely random. Or another thing I've done a few times, I'll message them, DM them, and I'll say, hey, and say something like, hey, what's up? And almost every time, I've done this probably 10 times in the last like 3 or 4 months. And almost every time they come in with love. And they're like, oh, dude, like, I can't believe you wanted it. I'm like, what? Like, you just roasted me and I DM'd you with love. Like, it makes no sense. And at the end of the day, they're like, oh, man, like, I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. And I'm like, that's why I have like that mentality toward haters. Because they're not haters. They're just like, I think I hate saying I feel like I can save them, but I'm like, I feel like with haters, that is just a maturity thing. I think you can just be told that this is not the way, and they can be like, oh, this guy took the time to like actually help me. Maybe I can be a better person. And that's kind of how I look at it, I guess.
Yes.
I don't want to
exactly. I think it's education too, for sure. Like, I think I got a comment on one of my TikToks last night and I was like, what? But I'm pretty sure the person who made the comment it was out of context. Like, they'd seen one of my videos, had not seen any other video, had no idea what I was talking about. So I didn't understand, like, really, that, it was one of my Procreate videos. They're like, oh yeah, and you're making NFTs, and I was like, okay, yep. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for your concern. Love you. Have a great day. And then I'm like, go check out my other videos, because then you'll understand what I'm doing. That squiggle you see me doing, that's not an NFT. I'm just trying to show people a Procreate tip. I'm just using the squiggle as an example. But anyway, yeah. But I did see Gary V actually. You probably would have seen this as well, where someone was bagging out his art, like, so his NFTs, and like big time. They were like, this is crap. Blah, blah. I think they'd responded on something in Twitter. So he went away and he went and bought one. So Gary V was talking about this. He was like, so what I did, I went and bought one of those guys' NFTs. And then he got in touch with me and he was like, holy crap, Gary, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to pay you out. He's like, no, I just respond with love. That's fine. I'm going to support him and show him that it's not going to bother me. And actually, I really like this guy's art, so I'm going to buy one, So yeah, it was really cool. I was like, wow, such a different way of thinking of things.
And this is something that's very relevant right now, is that TikTok comment culture. I don't know if you know this, but there's a big culture to get the top comments, and to get the top comment, you got to say something polarized. So a lot of comments.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. So like the top comment's always the one that's like them shitting on them or saying like the one thing people want to say, and they'll say it because they know they're gonna get the clicks. So a lot of times I'll also say that, and I'm also thinking about that for the future. If I ever get crazy big, I'm like, okay, so if that happens, I need to already be mentally ready for those people who don't actually hate me. They just know that this comment's gonna do well. You kind of know, like, if that comment hasn't been left yet and this video is going viral and you're the first person to leave it, chances are your comment will go to the top. And so people think about that, especially kids.
And I didn't know that. I didn't realize. I know people are, they go first or whatever, but I didn't realize that they were leaving those kind of nasty comments. Yeah, that's bizarre. Anyway, it's just, it's forever moving. So I did want to talk to you a little bit before. I know we've probably got to go soon, but I did want to talk to you a little bit about, so your the mindset stuff and maybe finding balance and what that means to you. What sort of things you do to keep your mental health in the space. So yeah, what do you do to keep yourself feeling good, and what do you, in terms of, like, what does finding balance mean to you?
Man,
sorry to just drop that clanger on
it. Finding balance, probably for me, man, I didn't have much balance. I still don't have any balance, honestly. Balance has been difficult for me because I think for some people there's something extra in them that, for whatever reason, like for most of my life, it was because I just had been walked all over or kind of like thrown to the side. So in my whole life, I've always been like, you know what? I'm going to be famous one day and I'm going to be like the man. And that's been the goal since I was like 10. And so I just tried. I tried and failed all the way through high school, got to high school. Then I became like a bit of a jackass probably in college, trying to be cool or whatever. And so everything in my life has been that. And so there has been really no balance, just because it's been me striving to like win has been my whole life. Yeah. And I'm in this headspace where I'm not really running away. I'm kind of running toward, it feels like, my destiny or whatever. And so now, like, the balance is there, but it's still not really. Like I'm still going full steam ahead. But I do things that help me just like maintain. You know, I cannot crash to the ground. Do certain things, like I go on walks every single day. The walk is like the most important thing ever, because it forces me to not. I don't know what it is. Like Joe Rogan said this in a podcast once. He said that when your brain's not doing what it needs to be, it's because your body's not moving. And so you move your body and your brain turns back on, kind of thing. And you're like, oh wait, I know what I'm doing again. And so I'm a big fan of that. For me, I don't need to go. I used to have to go to the gym all the time, and now I just need to do anything active. So definitely going on walks and taking a moment to stop and let everything, all the chaos, just to kind of freeze and listen to the wind, kind of thing, how we talked about yesterday. And I think the most important thing for me, other than that, talking to my friends, like even if it's on the phone or something, like making sure I talk to them a few times a week, and making videos because I love making videos. Making videos is my hobby. That's what I do. That's why YouTube is so easy for me. Like I've had a bunch of people ask how I'm posting 1 to 2 videos a day and not even struggling to do it. And I am struggling a little bit, but it's because I love doing the videos. I like doing all the, and so that's fun for me. And so I always make videos or pieces of content that make me feel good about being me, and they're not really like necessary, I guess you would say, in like the algorithm for my content. It's just kind of like, here's an interview with me because I need to make this, or here's something I want to make just for fun. And so I make sure I do those times a month too.
Amazing. So. Yeah, that's so good. I think nature is such a cleansing thing, isn't it? It really, just getting outside, just getting active, moving your body makes such a difference to your brain. I'm a bit the same. I do exercise every day. Generally, I go for a walk in the morning, and then I'll try to do something a bit more vigorous in the afternoons, whether it's like dance or, some kind of workout. But like I write a little bit. So sometimes I like to write. Generally, I write a poem for each art piece that I do as well. And sometimes I'll just, like in a journal, just kind of go with it. It doesn't have to make sense. It's sort of like free verse poetry. So other times I'll make it so it is rhyming and whatever else. It just depends on the feeling. And I think also that kind of just having that mindset of I've got to look after me, like we talked about yesterday. I've got to try to look after me before I get up and get onto all the social media stuff first, because I will literally go down a rabbit hole and I could sit there for 2 hours and not move, just looking at comments and discords and stuff. And I'm like, I need to get better at this. But I think for finding balance for me, like, I don't know if it exists. I know Sam and I were talking about this in Discord yesterday. Like, is it a fluid concept? Like, is it dependent on the seasons of your life and the things that are happening in your life that, I think it, like, as a teacher, we talk a lot about Glasser and his choice theory, and he's sort of got this theory of, you're on a chair, like, and your legs of the chair are your balance. So you've got, your safety, love and belonging, and one other which I can't think of. But anyway, you've, and everything's out of whack, then you feel it. But I don't think you can ever, I don't know, I don't ever feel like I can have all 4 legs of my chair balanced and on the floor, because it depends on the time of all sorts of things, experiences. And I tend to have, I guess, one of those legs, which, sounds a bit out there, but a bit stronger than others. Like my belonging leg is very strong. So I need to fill my cup up by belonging and community and connecting with people. And so that's where a lot of my efforts go. Yeah. But then sometimes the other bits kind of fall off a little bit. So, yeah.
Yeah, real quick, I just want to say NFT_she. I just left a bunch of comments. Thank you so much. Balance is super difficult. Just like working on NFTs don't sleep. That's why people talk about it, because it's 24/7. There's people all around the world in different areas. There's always something going on, and so it feels like you have to keep up with all of it. But in reality, if you were to disappear for a week and came back, there'd be no difference, right? And one example I think of is at work. I remember I took like a 2-week break from serving at the restaurant, and I came back. Yeah. Man, I bet all these things are going to be like crazy different, or it's going to be weird. And I walked in and then nothing had changed. And I was like, wait, I was gone for 2 weeks and nothing changed. And I was like, oh, wait, that's because literally it never will change. It's always going to be ever evolving. And that's important, because in life, there's times where you sprint. There's times where you're walking. There's times where you're stuck you can't go anywhere and you're just stuck and in limbo, which is the absolute fucking worst. Being in limbo in between stages, especially if you're powerless to make, if it's like I'm just moving next month. Then it's like, all right, well, you're literally just in limbo until next month, period. There's nothing else. And that sucks because there's not really much you can do. And so in those times, I just kind of like know it'll come. And so during the days when I'm feeling like shit in those limbo days where I'm like, okay, well, last week I was really busy, this week is not, and I feel like I should be really busy, but I'm not. And it's just that's what, and you keep that perspective, and that's something you practice every day. Now every single day I have like conversations with myself as if I'm speaking to me right in front of me, like a real
That's awesome.
And I have to value that relationship with myself the most.
Yeah.
Anyone, even if I'm, you know, in a relationship, if I'm married to somebody, if it's my mother, like my relationship with myself, absolutely the most important, you know?
Absolutely. Otherwise, how can you have, like, if you don't feel that love for yourself, then how can you, I mean, you can say you love other people and they love you and stuff, but you've got to have, how can you fill the cup of other people if you're not filling your own? You know what I mean? You've got to, yeah. And that's something that I work on daily. You know, I don't know where it's come from. And, you know, I had a great childhood. There's nothing random there, no trauma. But I have that sense all the time of like, hang on, who am I to do this? Like, I'm not worth it. You know, am I good enough? Am I always that sense of questioning myself? And so trying really hard to get better. And I also need to know, need to know, but think about a little bit, am I seeking a sense of validation from others, or am I seeking that validation from myself? So when I'm in my art space, like, and that is sort of like art as therapy for me, just drawing and, you know, getting those feelings and emotions and stuff out onto the iPad or paper or whatever it might be, it definitely, that is me looking after myself. You know, that is me going, yeah, actually, I don't have to show this to anybody, but I can. And I'm pretty sure if I did put it out there, it's okay because I'm already winning. I got a lot of joy in making this, you know, and if people don't like it, that's okay. Because
you are good at that. And sorry, my gallon of water.
No, that's good. I got one too.
But I love it. I talked about this. I don't remember who I talked about this with or what video it was, but I remember if you're good at something, then you can draw confidence from there. Like I know a lot of people, like for example, myself, when I like the first time I was on an interview with someone who was like big and I was like nervous about it. I was really scared and I was like, oh my God, like this dude's like really big and I'm just some random kid. I'm like literally half his age. He knows way more than I do. I'm an idiot. What can I possibly offer him? But then I remembered, I was like, why would he bother talking to me if I was truly that? If I really sucked and I had nothing to offer, there would be no reason for him to waste his time with me. And as soon as I thought about it like that, I was like, wait, I actually can do something. And that was kind of the start for me to be like, wait, I can be confident in something because I am good at something. And, you know, my whole life was the same. I had self-doubt and it wasn't anything trauma related. It's based on the way I was raised versus how I am, you know, and a lot of it was miscommunication or no communication from me and no positive reinforcement. No, hey, you're good at this. It was just a lot of like, oh yeah, like nice, or like, or nothing, you know, they wouldn't say anything. So I just constantly was like, no one told me, you know, I got bullied in like my early childhood. So it was like, I just had that kind of pushing me. And so I just always figured like, I guess like I'm just not that good and I'm not really that confident and there's no reason for me to be. And so that's kind of how my life was too growing up.
And you're amazing. Yeah. And but I think, don't you feel like half the battle is won as soon as you acknowledge that that's what's happening for you? You recognize it and you go, hang on a minute. Actually, I've been programmed to feel like this way about myself. That's actually bullshit. Like, excuse the language, but it's not true. Like, it's not who I am. You know, I have all this stuff to bring to the world, this great value. And it's that, Nifty Green saying, I was just going to say wounded inner child. Yes. And it can be as simple as that miscommunication. I love what you put on Twitter the other day about using your words and how they can make such a difference. Like one word that we use as an adult to a child they can hang on to that and subconsciously suck that in. And that can shape so much for them, you know, and you don't even realize.
Exactly. And
so we have to talk to ourselves like that too.
Yeah. And I can remember, I can't think of it on the top of my head right now, but I know there are moments in my life, like 5-second moments that I can vividly go back to if I think about it. So moments where I've been like, you feel that little shot in your gut where you're like, where you feel like really unsure. And it's that gut feeling of like, either you're guilty of something that you know you shouldn't have done, your mom full name, or something is going wrong and you know it's going wrong, or your boss is saying something back and you know you're about to get fired, like that feeling. And I have like that where I can remember being so, I guess self-conscious is the word it would be. Like you just get really self-conscious and you're like, fuck, what? Whoa, feel in control. I don't feel comfortable. Get me out of here. Scary, fight or flight. And those situations, I wouldn't say are trauma, because I think they're definitely just like legitimate trauma where someone gets traumatized. This is more of like this is just the way you were raised, and this is kind of a way for yourself to understand why you are the way you are. And it's okay, you know, it's okay to be traumatized, or it's okay to be like beaten up when you were a kid, and now this is the way you are. You don't have to get mad. It's just one of those things like, look, that's just how it happened. You were 7 years old. There's nothing you could do about that. Like when I was in Japan and all these 8th grade Japanese kids were making fun of me for being short and like being American or something, I remember they literally thinking, wow, I suck for being American and being short. That really sucks. Like I can't even do anything about that. And now I'm like, bro, what? You know, and like that, how can that be at 23 years old, you know?
Yeah, well, easy. I think just like Nifty Green is actually saying, I think our body remembers, like our brain, our system remembers, our nervous system remembers, and it doesn't really know. Like our brain doesn't actually recognize the difference between, like when you feel that fight and flight, to me, my understanding is your brain doesn't know the difference between you are actually in fight and flight, you need to get out of there, and like what you're, and like a memory. So if I'm thinking about something and I feel stressed about it, like I think I said to you before, I tend to catastrophize. I'm like, my brain doesn't know the difference if that I'm just saying it to myself in my head or if it's actually really happening. So our whole systems, you know, are just phenomenal like that. So it's about retraining, I guess, yourself and speaking to yourself kindly and being gentle on yourself, you know. And I think in the NFT space, there's so much going on that it's so easy to get like FOMO, and it's so easy to burn the candles at both ends because you want to be part of everything. But I think as time goes on, I'm just going to have to get a bit smarter about how I do that. You know, I've got to be able to balance and juggle all aspects of my life. As much as I'd love to sit there and just do art and talk NFTs with everybody all day, you know, that's also, but that's not my reality. Like I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm working full time. So I've got to try to juggle and manage those things. And just work a bit smarter with that and be kind with myself at the same time and realize I can't do it all.
Yeah. And that's hard. That's really difficult. Like that kind of, that when you, how you said you realize it and you acknowledge it, and that's half the battle. Yeah. True. But means you literally have half the work to do still, and that's a lot of work. It takes a very long time. I spent months and months, or like years, but then like intentionally, like only probably a year, but like a year when you're doubting yourself and you feel like shit is a very, very, very long, dark time. And DJ just said, read the body, it keeps the score. There's great science behind this. That's so true, because like your gut and your mind and your everything is all connected, I think. And if you read your body, if you wake up every day and you have this pit in your stomach, then there is something that you taken care of somewhere. And that's where you can kind of be like, okay, what in my daily day can I like pay more attention to, or what's not working the way I want? And you can kind of, there's a way to do it where you're not beating yourself up about it. I think a lot of people will notice something about themselves and then judge themselves for feeling that, rather than just saying, oh, I have anxiety about this, and saying, oh, versus like doing that and then being like, and I shouldn't have anxiety, and I'm pissed that I have anxiety. And that's where all the crap negative talk starts to happen, you know?
Yeah, for sure. But it's almost like you get to the point where you do realize these things are happening, and then you're like, oh crap, I've got to do the work. And that's the hard part, isn't it? Like when you're oblivious to what's actually going on for yourself, you know, you feel these crappy feelings, you don't know why. You just go, oh, it's just who I am or whatever. But then when you actually start thinking, well, I want to change and I don't want to feel like this, and I'm recognizing what's going on for me, then I'm like, yeah, I got to do the work now. And I've got to look after myself. Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, have you got any comments there? Sorry.
I just said DJ Designer Art's name is Donna. She says, don't should yourself. Like you should be this, you should be that. That's absolutely right. I think that's definitely true. It really does matter how you speak to yourself, because only in the last few months did I start to intentionally speak to myself like I would talk to someone else if they were coming to me with my problems. And I'm like, okay, what would I say person they were dealing with those issues or whatever? And I would just like, okay, if I'm going to troubleshoot this, I'm just going to speak out loud and then as I'm speaking, hear it through my own ears and try and take that advice I was being told by a therapist or something. And that's good. Since you know yourself, when you start to speak and you start to trust your own word, you'll start to, like, for example, when I do my interviews, I used to have a lot of notes. I'd be really nervous. I'd make sure I had to say this. And if I didn't know the end of the sentence before I started, I wouldn't say it. Now, half the time I start speaking and I have literally no idea what's coming next. I just start and start coming out. And I'm like, oh, that works.
Yeah. Jeez, I impressed myself there. That's awesome. I love that. See, I'm a bit of a note. I'll keep notes. Sorry.
I was saying, like, sometimes I'll be in the middle of my sentence though, and I'm like, what the hell is this going? What am I saying right now? And then that sometimes, and I'll just be like, fuck, well, hopefully I'll figure it out at the end of this sentence in the next 3 seconds, because I don't know where it's going. Half the time it works, half the time it doesn't. But either way, it's like, it doesn't, like, you're not gonna die. You know, even if you mess it up, say the wrong thing to the wrong person, it's like, okay, are you going to die tomorrow because of that, or are you fine and that's just embarrassing? You know.
That's so true. Yeah, absolutely. It's not going to happen. It's fine. It's a blip in someone's day, right? They're not even going to remember it.
Yeah. Before we talk, I'll tell a short story that was super funny. When I was working at the restaurant, I remember, so I was very high. It was a stressful time as a waiter, right? I was very high. I walked into the restaurant in the morning. I came to open. I talked to my manager, I remember, very briefly for like 10 minutes. And I remember a few minutes later seeing my manager talking to like one of the other managers, and it was like a very serious conversation. And I was like, interesting. And so I did the whole shift, 5 o'clock, I'm clocking out, I'm doing silverware. And I like remember back to the morning, and I'm like, holy shit, that was so long ago. Like, that was like, it was like 7 hours ago, right? And I was like, the amount of people I just talked to and the amount of things that just happened in this lunch shift to get me to here. And it felt, and I remember in the beginning, in the morning, when I talked to my manager, it was like an important conversation about something. And I felt like, I was like, oh my God, high pressure, nervous, this matters. And then at the end of the day, I was like, wow, I don't even remember what I said. And it's so irrelevant, and it doesn't even matter. And that's like how almost everything in life is. Like, most of the stuff is just not that important.
Yeah, absolutely. That's amazing. When you think of it like that and stop and go, hang on a minute, I've got to this point and had so many conversations, and like, yeah, that's it. Absolutely. I love it.
Like, so important when you're saying it and you're like, I got to get this right, or I got for salt. And it just does not matter. I think serving, anyone who's worked a waiter job or any kind of customer service job like that, you understand what I mean when I say almost no interaction actually matters. You know, you can have the worst interaction with a customer, and 15 minutes later, you have the best thing ever and you get promoted. Like, it just isn't that important, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not. And people don't remember it. They're not going to remember. I mean, they will remember you, and they'll remember the way you made them feel in the conversation, and how well you potentially, you know, waited or served or whatever. But yeah, they're not analyzing every word that comes out of your mouth, basically. You know, they're not rewatching. That's what I think, like, with this sort of stuff. I'm like, what if someone goes and rewatches it and then picks me up on some crap that I've said? And, you know, like, but no one's going to do that. Like, what sort of ego do I have to think that someone would actually do that?
Well,
that's insane.
You're thinking so much about what they're thinking about you. That means they're definitely about what you're thinking about them. And so they have no time. Like, have you ever walked into the gym and genuinely someone that hard? You're like, no, you're judging yourself, thinking, what are they thinking about me? And that's exactly what they're thinking. So
yes, that's exactly right. I've tried to sort of instill this in my son, because he tends to worry. He's sort of 13 and he worries a lot about what other people think of him, and, you know, his mates and everything like that. And yeah, I just thought, you know, people aren't, and I've tried to say, you know, it's hard to explain, but, you know, people aren't worried about what you're doing. They're worried about what they're doing, how they're looking, you know, what you're thinking of them. It's exactly the same. Yeah, that's right. So, you know, if something makes you happy and you want to do it, do it. Exactly. Just do it. Like, God. And sorry.
I said that's great that you talked to your kid about that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, he worries a lot about a lot of stuff, so I wonder where he got that from. But yeah. But just, I want to try to break the pattern. Like, I don't want him to follow that. You know, I don't want him to be like, yeah, I'm anxious, I'm this, I'm that, and that's come from me because I'm anxious, you know. Right. I want to try to break that cycle if I can. That
is beautiful. Guys, we're about to end. Any last minute questions? Turtleneck is in the house. Servio, yes, 5 years from now, I won't remember this moment 100%. Almost no moment matters. You know, you can probably put it on one hand, the amount of moments that actually have mattered and actually affected
Yeah.
you and are pivotal moments. There's only a handful of them. Like when I left on my trip and I quit my job, so I made that video, I knew that day would be important, regardless of it or if it failed. This would be a big moment because I chose myself for the first time, and very rare any decision you make that important. There's only a few you can make in your that are going to change your life like that. So absolutely. If there's any last questions, pop them in on either of our chats, and otherwise, we've just covered, I feel like, everything. We just had like the most successful.
I know. Yeah, it's been awesome. So I've got, oh my God, yes, one of my goals this year is not to use should phrases with myself and instead use. So that's Beck or Rebecca. I think I dropped off there. But yeah, my therapist recommended it, and I already had it on my reading list. So that's that book again. What did we say it was called? Oh, The Body Keeps the Score. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go look into that. I reckon that sounds awesome. So does anybody have questions?
Oh, I didn't know that was a book. I thought that was just something she said. Cool.
Yeah. It's a book by Bessel van der Kolk, Kolk. So Bessel van der Kolk, The Body Keeps Score. Okay, cool. I'm going to have to look at that, and maybe we can, and another one I heard of that Donna has mentioned, which is more around art and journaling and stuff, is The Artist's Way. So I know Sydney's been involved with that, so I'd love to have a look at that one too.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Wait, Donna, what did oh, she's laughing because I didn't know it was a book. Yeah, I didn't know. I think you put it in quotes too. That makes sense, actually.
Yeah. So. Oh, kudos to you both. You guys are so awesome. Thank you. Natalie's like, you guys did great. Wow, 7.7K likes. That's awesome.
I got 6.5. And as Sydney says, she recommends This Way for a book.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about. I think she does journaling with it. Yeah. So, yeah, and I think that's about taking daily, like every day before you even do anything, you sit down and you just journal some stuff, I believe. But I better look into that because it sounds awesome. Yeah, and I like to journal a bit. I'm just not very, like, I'm an organizer. Like, I like to have everything in books, and, you know, I'm a bit of an old school person. So, you know, like I've got my little notebook. Actually, I made this one, you know, and I write in it and whatever else. And then to keep myself organized, but I'd love to be able to do that kind of daily writing and get your feelings out and stuff. I think that'd be cool.
It's so important.
And intentions.
Yes, it's super important. And something someone told me once was, it was like, when you have too much on your mind, you have to clear that out. You have to clear room for your brain to have enough stuff. And to do that, you got to take it off your brain onto paper or whatever you want to do. And so that is super important. Do you want to do like a thumbs up again or something so I can take a screenshot and we can do this? All right. 3,
I like that thumbs up.
2, 1. Let's go. Fire.
Oh, well, if you share that with me, that would be awesome. Because I didn't get one.
I will.
I just took a few screenshots, but that's unreal. Thank you so much. Yeah, journal app is wonderful. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much. Here, it looks like my thing recorded successfully, so I should be able to re-upload this somewhere. So that shouldn't be a problem. So awesome. All right, y'all. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. And
you too, Cade.
At least that was amazing. I'm so glad we got to talk.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Yeah. Good evening, good morning, whatever you're at. It's morning here, right. So have a good one. Thanks, Cade. I really love catching up with you.
Yeah, that was so much fun.
It was. Bye.